Oh, hi guys. Total Control 871. Didn't see you there. Don't mind me. I just thought I'd do a little bit of research for tonight's episode. Um, the white guy with the skateboard. It's been months and months and he was so iconic, so just so very powerful in that imagery. And I was just simply wondering, did we ever find out who he is? Or has it just simply been lost to the annals of time and history? Will he be forever known only as White Skateboard Guy? I don't know. There's the flare lanks or whatever it is Como is calling it. Um, yeah, I've just kind of been rifling through articles here tonight, trying to find out who this guy was. You would have thought that old Chris Como would have been doing his due diligence, or let's see, how does he say it? Right, getting after it. I guess Como wasn't too preoccupied with getting after who all of these, rioters are. Woo, look at this. My goodness. Como wasn't too, he wasn't too worried about any of these people or none of these people, you know. And of course, of the few that were wearing masks, there was never any kind of super spreading linked to these mass gatherings. But peculiar enough, the brief amount of time, what was it, the congresswoman? Oh, what was her name? She's on the floor and she's in a room and she's with some fellow congressmen or senators, is it? And some of these senators didn't want to wear a mask while everything was going on. And she, oh my God, I now have COVID and you're the cause. Sure, lady, whatever you say. Um, so, do do any of you guys know of any? Maybe link some articles or something, because we want to know who the gentleman is. He doesn't have a mask on. Quite a few people didn't have masks on. Okay. Is there a reason why the FBI can't marshal their resources to find out who these upstarts were? Woo, my goodness. Hmm? This took place less than a year ago. Charges are still applicable. They've got up to a year to file charges. Any particular reason why you're not going to marshal your resources? Throw out your dragnet and haul them in? No. No. I guess none of that's going to be happening, huh? However, unfortunately for Thomas Brary, Thomas Brary is white, he's conservative, and a Trump voter, all which is evidenced in the video.
28-year-old from Ewing faces charges for taking part in the capital case last week. Thomas Brary was arrested for disorderly conduct and violent entry of a restricted building.
We tore through the scaffolding, through flashbangs and tear gas, and blitzed our way in through all the chambers, just trying to get into Congress or whoever we could get into and tell them that we need some kind of investigation into this.
It was this television.
Yes, so Thomas was hunted down by law enforcement, state, local, FBI. Granted, it probably wasn't too difficult given his very public interview. Nevertheless, the racial disparity is glaringly evident. When it comes to all these great many arrests that are being made, things are going to get very interesting and very dicey in court. Mark my words on that. Okay, in case you didn't know, here's a little something you might want to realize for those of you who are managers, supervisors, looking to be a manager or supervisor. If your manager ever busts your ass and rides your ass or has to write you up for sexual harassment or perceived sexual harassment, whether you were actually doing it or not, 8 times out of 10, they're doing it to save their own job. It's not necessarily because they actually believe you're guilty. If they don't do it, then they themselves can be brought up on charges or bring the company that they are working for under liability for fostering the environment. You follow? Fostering. So, what's so peculiar here? We've got our corporate media who have drawn a very clear and distinct difference between race and political ideology. Depending on what your race is and depending on what your political ideology is, who you're standing for, who you're voting for, then all of a sudden that's going to dictate whether or not you're going to be criminally prosecuted. Yes, there is very much indeed substantial evidence here that corporate media and I suppose law enforcement agencies as well in their respective cities and states, they help to foster these riots. Okay? Why? Of course, they're going to say Trump did it. No. You see, Trump has an entire history. If I'm not mistaken, I think somewhere in here, they talk about how Trump, or he mocks and, okay? Let's see if we can jump on this. Trump's been talking shit for years, okay? You're going to have a hell of a hard time pinning down some obscure tweet of telling people to go home. You're saying that because Trump told you to go home, that's what incited insurrection. And quite frankly, I really don't think they understand what actual insurrection is. Trump's been talking shit for years. This is absolutely nothing new. Okay, the only thing that's new is that fake pandemic of yours. The only thing that's new is the poverty, the lockdowns, the unmitigated pressure with no release valve, never-ending lockdowns. So you see what I'm saying? You completely overestimated people, or you thought you actually had people hypno-seduced. Some were, okay? Some were, and many, the vast bulk, were just going along until the ride was over, okay? You have a lot of Americans right now who are so fucking seasick, okay? They're COVID seasick. The cruise was interesting. The ride, some may have liked it, having to stay home, taking a year off, lucrative unemployment, assuming you could get through on the computer and whatnot. Some may have liked it, some didn't. So you had people with different responses to the whole lockdown thing, okay? Some were willing to masks were a novelty for them. It's fun playing pandemic, walking around with mask on. It's something new. It's novel, like their fake novel virus. The pandemic is fake. There's always a virus, okay? Always a virus. But you get what I'm saying. So they're bedazzling. They're expressing themselves artistically with the mask, and it's all very fun and games, okay? But you know what? as the lockdowns not only dragged on, but as they got more severe, okay, people really, really got sick and tired of this shit. Then, of course, things just simply got really laughably bizarre. Um, Apparently, infections punch a clock. They start at this time and go from this time to that time. You can cross a bridge into a different city, and suddenly COVID is safe there and not safe in this city. And so things just got really, really laughably strange and weird. And you know what? It wasn't very funny. It was bad comedy. And you pushed people's willingness, whatever you want to call it. You just pushed them too far. Bank accounts ran dry. Tempers flared. They're locked in their home with the same people. They can't go out to any of their friends. You created an extremely dangerous powder keg situation. Again, Trump has been talking shit for years, This man did absolutely nothing. Can I point something out here that I would have thought you guys would have figured out on your own? Why didn't all of these white nationalists, as you like to say so much, is there a reason why none of this shit happened back in 2008 when the world's first black president got elected? Huh? None of that struck you as odd, huh? I mean, this is a white man replacing another white man, okay? You made an election extremely untrustworthy, okay? Like I said, I don't really know how much I would say that it's rigged or not rigged, but it was very unsecure. People just simply mailing in ballots, where the ballots came from after the ballots are separated from their envelopes. It's anybody's guess, One thing I will say, though, this is before the conspiracy theorists even had time to even gain traction. As I was watching live, the overnight coverage of the ballots and stuff, as soon as I heard water pipes breaking, and I'm like, water pipes breaking? It's a little strange, It's like, and this is, was it Georgia? Weather's nowhere near cold enough for that. Things were just very strange. Again, I myself am not going to draw any kind of particular conclusions. I do try to keep my reporting factual. All I know is that I came to the conclusion that it was strange and suspicious all on my own. I didn't have to hear about it from any kind of a website, be it left, right, conspiracy oriented or not, okay? This is... Trump did not cause this, The guy's an asshole, but Mr. Orange Man did not cause this riot. Your fake pandemic, your poverty, never-ending lockdowns, threatening to take away fundamental rights of travel and commerce if your highly dubious vaccinations are not accepted. Vaccines that require zero liability before they roll out, and were you to question their safeness or efficacy, well, then you're clearly a conspiracy theorist. I'll do a health update later, but I was at the they call themselves a doctor's office, but it's just a bunch of nurses. and the phlebotomist, we were in there kind of talking and whatnot, and she was telling me a lot of her people in the healthcare industry, people don't want that vaccine, and they have already started saying no. So, um, yes, this is going to get very interesting in court, people. How do you prosecute this man when you have such a rock solidly established precedence of letting protesters, violent protesters, rioters, destruction of property, uh, igniting explosive? I mean, we saw it, there were lots of matter of fact, what was it now? How does it go? This is just tweet after tweet. How come this isn't violence? Huh? It's just endless violence. This isn't inciting violence? No. So when it's a particular political party, this is okay and it's permissible on social media, right? If I'm not mistaken, they had one guy, I was reading one where it said they were calling, one was Arrow Guy, Bomb Guy. And what's so strange is that they kept saying guy or Arrow Man or this. What do you mean guy and man? How come these people haven't been tracked down and identified? Huh? How are you going to go about explaining that in court? Did you think defense isn't going to be asking, questioning? Because that's the whole thing here. You've got two different sets of laws. And like I was saying about the whole supervisor sexual harassment thing, you're setting a precedence. Okay? That's what caused people to want to storm the Capitol. Why? Because you fostered an environment, both corporate media and law enforcement, local and federal, all of it. You all work together to foster an environment that communicated to the populace, to the national population, that it's okay to do all of this shit. This is okay. This is all the fuck okay. Okay? This is all okay. Okay? It's all okay. This is what you say to the population. You can do this. Okay? And I think we had a handful of arrests here and there. I think one particular cop car, somebody was tracked down with a tattoo, and the enforcement was very lackadaisical, and laughable, okay? Because you didn't want that public relation nightmare, did you? You didn't want to be the law enforcement agency that hauled in and saddled with very, very serious charges that could put them away for the rest of their life, right? You didn't want to be that kind of, you didn't want to be the law enforcement agency that would ignite that powder keg, right? Because you knew it'd be a powder keg, right? Oh, okay. And the reason why it's a powder keg is because of all of this violence, right? Okay. And the moment a different race and a different political party engage in the exact same kind of destruction of property, then all of a sudden it's a brand new system, right? Brand new laws, brand new system, correct? Yes? How are you going to go about explaining this in court? That's what I've been basically scratching my head with lately. How are you going to explain that that destruction is justifiable and this is not? Okay? Okay. You left people without a voice. You changed and altered election rules, okay? Basically in the middle of an election, all right? All justified by your pandemic that can't even fill up a hospital, okay? Where you just have to use, month-old canned, recycled video footage, right, of a slightly busy hospital, okay? That was your justification for radically altering how we conduct our election, right? No more secure analog voting machines, but rather, paper ballots. Okay. So you created this powder keg, okay, and you're not willing to excuse it the same way you did Black Lives Matter Antifa. How people perceive race. I know they're talking about the Confederate flags. They're talking about hate symbols. Hate symbols, Confederate flags. I've already spoken about that. I didn't want this to get too long. I see I'm at 21 already. Let me play a little something for you.
As I've said before, I find that flag to be racist and insensitive.
Chef, I respect you very much, but you have to understand that this has been the South Park flag since some of our ancestors, like my great-grandfather, founded this land.
That flag represents a time when blacks were persecuted by whites. How can a black man not be bothered by it?
All right, Chef, I'll have my assistants hold up the flag, and you tell me what exactly you find racist about it.
I guess you guys pretty much say, well, that's a slam dunk racist thing. If you saw the episode, you would understand where they went with the whole thing. For some of you might be thinking, well, that's a bit of a stretch saying that children are just that wide-eyed where they couldn't really see the difference here. Believe it or not, it is true. Somewhere in Saturday Night Live's, 50 years now, 50 seasons, Saturday Night Live's archives, there is, I believe the episode aired somewhere in the 70s, late 70s, family, dinner, had dinner guest, and as God is my witness, I did not get the joke at all when I first saw it. I could so go off into a whole springboard thing. I was a very weird child. I stayed up very late at night watching strange things that you really wouldn't necessarily think a kid as young as me would watch. I would get caught up in the arts and education channel, watching operas late at night, Anyway, back to my point. This particular episode of Saturday Night Live, I didn't quite get it. All I know is that one of the family members would get up and say, oh, I'll go get the whatever part of the dinner. They go to the what looks like the kitchen. It's out of view. They go out of view to what looks kitchen, and they come back with like the casserole dish or whatever it was. And the entire studio audience, they start laughing and I'm like, I don't. Okay, did somebody say something funny? X amount of years, I think maybe their 25th anniversary or something. The episode surfaced again. I was into my 20s or something like that, and I got the joke. What was going on was that it was all white family with white house guests, and one of the white family members would get up and go out of view, and they would come back, and they were black. I didn't realize it. I was just so young and naive. It was a color television, for whatever it means to you. I didn't get it. It just right over my head. I was about 13. I was like, a little 13 when somebody had to kind of point out the difference to me of a person that has Down syndrome. Um, Now, at that age, I understood that they weren't, a little slow, if you want to say that. That they were a little slow and that you had to explain things to them a little differently. It's not that I didn't understand that, but somebody had to explain that this is, the whole thing with Down syndrome and stuff like that. And what they themselves, a person explaining it to me, didn't understand was that, like I said, this might come across a little egotistical, arrogant, but it's the truth. Is that, yeah, I get it. We'll just call him John, the guy with Down syndrome. Yeah, I get it. John is slow, but I don't understand what you're talking about. That he's different. I don't quite understand what you mean different. And they're trying to point out the facial characteristics to me of a person with Down syndrome, and I'm just not getting it because, frankly, all of our faces are different. We all look different. And yeah, I get that he's slower, but here's the arrogant part: is that you explaining this to me. I think you're slow. I don't want to make it sound like that, but I felt growing up that I was surrounded by people who were slow or slower than me. I found myself having to, explain things that I was pretty baffled. Like, wow, I really had to explain that to you, huh? Huh, okay, whatever. I didn't hold it against you, just like I don't hold it against a person with Down syndrome. Again, it's just simply the obliviousness of it all. I had that naivete, that the innocence of childhood was still with me. And yeah, I have to slow down and explain things to you. But yeah, what does the Confederate flag mean to people? The person carrying it and the person seeing it. Again, I've already talked about it. Every Christmas season roll around, are you a druid? Are you praying to druid pagan gods? You got a Christmas tree up? Yes, no? So every Confederate flag flapping in the wind doesn't necessarily mean that they want to kill black people, gay people, Jewish people. Sometimes the Confederate flag just simply means I've got even money that says the only reason this show's franchise hasn't been completely obliterated is because a Jew owns the rights. Remember, they control just about everything in Hollywood and television. Okay? All you have to do is check out the ending credits as it scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. Apparently, our liberal Jewish oligarchy, liberal elites, they didn't have a problem earning the millions and millions of dollars off of this kind of stuff. Huh? General Lee, Bo and Luke Duke. So, what can I say? What does the Confederate flag mean to you? What does it mean to the person bearing it? Some depending on the age and where they grew up. Because I giggle to myself because, believe me, I wasn't the only little black boy in my black neighborhood that had a General Lee car. Singing Dixie and jumping it from. We didn't know anything about the barbarism, the sadism, the evil, and the hatred that was attached to the flag. I don't know. Like I say, should the flag be allowed to transition away from what it once meant to something different? And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It is very much indeed true. Evil does like to evolve, seek refuge, sheep's clothing. Maybe it's because the whole thing is so complicated to think about that's why people do these broad, sweeping bans. So I really gotta think about all this? So which one is the right time to use it and not the right time to use it? Oh, God. So just like with your personal lives, you allow the deep state to make everything easy for you. We don't type in web addresses no more. It's too hard. Let's just tap the app. Okay, so what if I gotta surrender my privacy to use an app? It's just easier. We're talking to our phones these days. Oh, Siri, call this. Google, call that. I mean, suddenly it's too difficult to just simply, go into your contacts, and I mean, it's not like you got to type in this, the phone number. But now it's just so difficult. And just like with our morality's become prepackaged. I don't want to think about it. Let's just say that it's wrong to never use these words and never have these symbols. It's just so much easier, And like I say, I do understand that evil will like to use subterfuge to hide itself. But hey, it's just like I said with my Down syndrome friend. For me, figuring out and sussing out, it isn't difficult at all. I'm sorry if you're special needs and that you need a corporation to do the thinking for you. I don't need a corporation to do the thinking for me, okay? I don't need Google to censor comments on my video. If I don't want it there, then I'll take it off. And it's usually for pretty good reasons. If you're just simply calling me a name in passing, then, whatever. I don't really give a shit. I'm not a snowflake, The liberals, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. The right wing, in the beginning, abused the term snowflake. Okay? They said it too much, and just everything that went against right wing ideology, and they just simply counteracted with snowflake. And quite frankly, they said that because they're not thinking. They don't want to give it any thought. It's just easier to just press one of your pre-programmed responses. Snowflake, buttercup. You're responding to things without ever actually reading it, comprehending it, thinking, using your mind. And the left does it too. We saw that when the whole snowflake thing became this self-fulfilling prophecy. You are a snowflake now. My God, and frankly, it's gone beyond just simply snowflake. Okay, we're thousands of light years past snowflake. We're in this world now where justice exists for one race and one political class. I hope the defense attorneys are looking into political prisoner rights. Okay. These arrests, they're not normal arrests. Okay. These men and women, if women are arrested too, these people are political prisoners. Political prisoners have certain special rights. And we know this by the fact of the very stark contrast between Black Lives Matter, violent, destructive riot, Capitol Hill, violent, destructive riot. Split down the middle. One set of rules for one set of rules for the other. Okay? So it's very clear that because only these people are being rounded up. Okay, Black Lives Matter, no, they weren't rounded up. There was no real discernible effort. 2 or 3 here arrested for torching this or what have you. But nobody was really rounded up. And of course, that fostered an environment that communicated to the nation abroad, that, hey, guess what? You can riot, you can destroy without any real consequence. These rioters probably thought at worst they might get a ticket in the mail, something like that. But we've got whole federal investigations. It's a very, very different response for the exact same kind of rioting. Same rioting, 2 different races, 2 different political ideologies, and 2 different responses. Okay? So therefore, these people are political prisoners, not just regular prisoners, but political prisoners, and they're entitled to those rights. Okay, that's it, guys. I was trying not to go too long, but hey, at least it ain't an hour. All right, guys, that's it for now. Take it easy. Total Control 871.